What radio? The music you want.
With your host, Keys Dan.
Feed me now! I'm starving!
RadioWhat.com.
What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, I encourage you to head to DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote. And maybe you can have little old me at your next event. Weddings, parties, corporate events, Sweet 16s. Oh yeah, and karaoke jams. I've been doing a lot of those lately. Today on the program, I have Joel Fountain. He's the front man. You might recognize his name from a previous podcast. We had the band Sideswipe. They're a 4-piece band out of Arkansas, Central Arkansas, and beyond. And they're good. They're good, I tell you. Don't take my word for it. You go out and you visit with them whenever you hear that Sideswipe's in town. You get there. Well, I'm going to try to, I did the 4-piece all together on a previous podcast, and I'm going to try to get all the individual band members, because in a band, you're not just part of the band, you're also individuals within that band. I don't have to tell you that. It's just we're going to go a little more in depth and find out more about Joel Fountain and what he's all about. All right, this week's shows, I'll be at the Old Post Barbecue in Russellville, Arkansas from 6 to 9. That's the Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam, family-friendly, after-school special, summertime. I've been going there every Thursday night, and I know now that school's back in session, it's a great family fun treat for after school, after work. You've been working hard in school and at work doing what you do. So what better way to spend your time than with your friends at the Old Post Barbecue? Have some good barbecue, and if you're of legal age, have some frosty beverages. Yeah, they got those too, right there at the Old Post Barbecue in Russellville, Arkansas, 6 to 9 in the p.m. on Thursday night. And then on Friday night, oh yeah, I'm at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. It's the regular Friday night party. It's a video dance party, karaoke jam. Got the place all lit up like a Christmas tree, at least on my side of the building. And then on the other side of the building, the pool tournament. Yes, it just keeps getting better and better and better over at the Rab. They have 10, count them, 10 regulation-sized pool tables for your playing pleasure. Full bar. The kitchen is open. They have, shuffleboard and foosball, 2 brand new games over at the Rab. And they have the giant Jenga game and the giant checkers game. So there's always something to do while you're having some drinks, having some fun, listening to some good music over at the Rab, playing pool. Yeah, have some fun at the Rab. Karaoke, video dance party. You're the stars of the show. That's Friday night at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas from 8 p.m. until, well, close to 2 in the a.m. Come on out and play at the Rab. And then on Saturday night, I don't have anything going on this particular Saturday night. Oh, it'll be a hot time if you have me come out to play for you. So if you need any DJ services on Saturday night, give me a jingle and I'll catch you on the jangle. Without further ado, let's give a chit-chat to Joel Fountain. I'm heading over to the Mockingbird Studios, and let's give a talk to him, transporting myself over to Joel Fountain now. Clip that near your talking hole somewhere, and away we go. Joel Fountain. I know, I jazz it up a little bit. It's Joel Fountain. What makes you famous? You know, I was thinking about, I don't know how to structure these things, and I try not to structure these podcasts, but I know, okay, I guess I should make some kind of an introduction. You were on a former podcast, a previous podcast with the members of your bandmates, Sideswipe. So, Joel Fountain, you're a lot more than merely a member, the front man of the band Sideswipe. You're a whole lot more. So we're going to explore a little bit more about who you are as a person, as a being, as an entity, Joel Fountain. Tell the people a little blurb about who you are, Joel Fountain.
For sure. And you can call me Joel of all trades instead of Jack of all trades. Obviously I'm an artist and I love music and performing, and that's one of my favorite things to do is express myself in that kind of way. But I also like to do that in a martial arts, fashion as well. And in both of those endeavors, you get to meet people. And for me, I think that interacting with people is a big part of who I am, and not only the influence they have on me, but the influence I have on them. And I've met people that I'll never forget, and it's the same way for me. I won't forget them either. So,
well, the last word of martial arts is arts, and if you're an artist, that's an art, isn't it? So,
certainly.
Artist in two respects mainly, being a musician and being a martial artist. Any other arts that you explore?
I was just thinking to myself the other day when I was in school. I had this art teacher. I forget her name, but I remember in the class I'd just have like a blank slate. I wouldn't really work on my stuff while I was in her class. So drawing, I'd probably say, is not a strong suit for me. Even my handwriting is pretty chicken scratch, but I'm working on it.
All right. Well, being a younger man, do you even know how to write in cursive?
Yes, I learned that whenever I was younger. So I actually went to private school for my first couple of years of school. I went to St. Joseph, which is a local Catholic school. It's downtown Conway, and I went there for kindergarten and first grade. So that was.
That's funny. We kind of parallel in that way. I went to St. Monica's Catholic school. I went to public school, kindergarten and first grade, and half of first grade, I believe. And then I went through the last part of first grade through sixth grade at St. Monica's Catholic private school in Miami, Florida. St. Joseph's is in Conway, Arkansas, and that's where we're at. We're at the Mockingbird Studios. Once again, my second time in this lovely facility. It's got a lot of things to do at the Mockingbird Studios here in Conway, Arkansas.
Yeah.
Exclusively, almost exclusively the band space for Sideswipe. The practice room is just on the other, maybe 30 feet away, and we're in the kitchen area with Joel Fountain.
That's right.
And you're going through. Well, okay, we can take it through from your early life all the way to now, and then beyond. See where you're going. We've got time. It's a Sunday afternoon. I don't usually do these on Sunday afternoons, but you were 7 minutes away from my house. So I said, yeah, let's do this.
For sure.
I like doing them face to face, so much better than on the phone. And it's nice to see your face, man. You're always smiley. You're always so happy. And you seem like you have a positive outlook. Has that always been the case?
Certainly. I was always a smiley kid, and obviously I had a sister, so she would make me frown sometimes, but I think having a sibling, you're prone to fight, and that's a normal thing. But I remember sometimes during school, not every kid is the happiest. I definitely say I was happier during my latter years of school. I was a lot more active, like socially wise, especially with being into the musical. They had a Footloose my sophomore year. Never tried out for a musical before. Tried out, first time, and they thought I was good enough to be the lead role. And obviously for me, that was a big, confidence booster. But that was a really big change. Kind of skipping ahead from my early life. But
sure.
I think it was a big point in my life where I started to believe in myself, and I was actually excited because I knew I was talented. I would always sing from a young age, and I'm probably going to jump from latter years.
If we look on your Wikipedia page, if there is one, we can say this is an imaginary Wikipedia page. This would still be under the early life section of Joel Fountain, I suppose. It's still somewhere in the high school area, the grade school to high school. So you were in a musical, and was that your first taste of show business, of entertainment, or had you been playing before? You said you were singing from a younger age. Were you bugging the family, just singing at all times of the day and the night?
Oh, certainly. I was just talking about my sister earlier, Victoria. I'd sing it, and most people don't know this, but she's actually a really talented singer too.
Why hasn't she been to my karaoke show?
Right.
Where you at,
totally.
Victoria? Where you at?
Yeah. But I was always singing, and the most fond memory I have is every year my mother, my sister, and I would go visit her family in Texas.
Okay.
And she had this gray Saturn.
What part of Texas?
The south part of Texas is McAllen.
McAllen, Texas. Sounds like a small town.
It's a fairly small town, right next to the border of Mexico. And
where were you born?
I was born here.
Born in Conway, Arkansas.
Yep, born and raised.
Born and raised in Conway, Arkansas. Okay. I mean, this seems like a place to grow up, but you spent some time in McAllen, Texas, small town. Continue.
Yeah, so every year we'd go and visit, and she would have these CDs, and, of course I liked the music, so I'd sing along, and,
What songs?
I can't really put my finger on it.
Come on, there's one song that you sang, Joel Fountain, that you sang more than any other, or possibly, maybe top three. Yeah,
probably relating the Texas trips are a Nickelback song called Rockstar.
Mm-hmm.
How you all want to be big rock stars. I'd sing it for people I didn't even know. They're like, wow, dude, you gotta.
It's a catchy tune.
Yeah.
They're a Canadian band, and there's a lot of controversy over them. And are they good? Are they bad? Are they sellouts? I think they're great.
I personally, their music's awesome.
Yeah, very catchy tunes. I mean, they make money and they make people happy. I think they're happy songs, and people in the rock play. Certain niches of people in the rock genre will badmouth them and say, "Ooh, they're sellouts. They're just going for the pop." And their songs are catchy, man. I like them. Nickelback, Rockstar, and that's the one that has ZZ Top in the beginning, if I'm not mistaken, saying a little blurb, "Tell him what you want."
Oh, that's the voice. Who
I think it's Billy Gibbons, if I'm not mistaken. I think the lead singer of ZZ Top.
That fits so well.
Tell him what you want, and it's Texas band. There you go. And you were in Texas listening to that song. ZZ Top is a Texas band. Nickelback is a Canadian band. So. Yeah, it fit that you were listening to that in Texas,
right?
With the lead singer of ZZ Top in there.
And
so yes,
not even around my family, in school too. I'd just be thinking of a tune, and then out of nowhere, like you could ask my friends from school, I'd just be singing in class and probably get distracted more than I should have, been. Probably should have been paying more attention in class, but it was, I don't know. I always liked classic rock more than the music that's came out today, and of course, like there's some catchy stuff. But
but you're considering Nickelback classic rock. This stuff is way after I was out of high school, man. How come all the stuff that I was listening to in high school is now classic rock? I'm a child of the '80s. When did you graduate high school?
Just 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah,
he's a young man.
Young man.
He's making me feel old. But I'm living vicariously through him.
Yeah.
He's a rock star.
For sure.
All right, Joel Fountain, you're in Texas, and you're singing songs to your family. What else are you doing in Texas?
In Texas, I have, like I said, my mom's part of the family, and it's kind of weird because obviously, they're Hispanic, so they speak Spanish, and for me,
wait, you say obviously. I just called you Joel Fountain, which is not a particularly Spanish name. It's not very obviously that they're Hispanic. How Hispanic are they? Where are they from?
Yeah, so my mom's dad, straight from Mexico.
Straight from Mexico, okay.
Yeah, that's in the blood, and I always knew that they loved me even though we couldn't really say it to each other. It's just one of those.
¿Los piquipanis?
Poquito.
Pero habla español. Necesita practicar su español. Podemos hacer el resto del programa en español para las gentes aquí. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I had the SAP button pressed on that one. I was saying that we could have the rest of the show done in Spanish if you'd like.
I need my translator. I need my my mother to come by and,
Yeah, funny. As I was coming into the studio, into the building, the premises, Mom was sitting outside, and that's pretty much where I learned about you, Joel Fountain, was from your mom. She's a lady about town, a very special lady. She's always getting into the community and helping people out, and it feels like that's where she's at. She's been on a podcast, so if you want to find out more about her, Claudia Fountain. I'm sorry, I have to put emphasis on the first name because I'm not allowed to juice up the second name. It's Claudia Fountain.
There we go.
And yeah, she's been on the podcast before, and we learned a little bit more about her. But yeah, she was just outside, and she was saying, "Go on in, my boy's in there," and she's so proud of you. She's so proud of you, man. And you say that you went to Texas to visit with her family, and what was the dealings in Texas? What did you learn down there?
I really learned whenever you have family, you don't really have to think of them as distant family. Mm-hmm. You can bond with them in a way that's just like your brother or just like your sister. And they were always, and they still are, so inviting, and I just feel at home. It's a great place for me to just kind of like decompress. And really, we just came back. We just went like a couple weeks ago, so it was like a tradition to go.
Drive or fly?
My mom says fly, and we haven't flown just yet, but we usually drive. And
how long of a drive is it?
It's an average about 13 hours.
13 hours. Who does the driving?
Well, my mother, obviously, she usually drives, and my sister and I take turns every once in a while.
It's nice. That's why we have kids. So when they grow up, they can take over the driving.
Right.
And some of the other duties, really. So that's good, man. I mean, I've done the drive to Miami from here, and that's 20 hours, and I've done it myself, and almost straight. With like only gas station stops. So 13 hours. Whew, that's a tough drive. And
sure.
To do it all by yourself, and I'm glad that she has the two of you to help share the burden. So once you get to Texas, and I know I'm dwelling a little bit, I want to hear more about these trips to Texas, because I know that's a pretty big part of your family. At least half of your family is in Texas. And when you get there, how do you feel? How are you greeted by the people of your family in Texas?
Oh, it's just very loving, and and it's kind of like a South American greeting to, like, whenever you see somebody, walk up to, give them a kiss on the cheek and like hug. So that's like the first embrace that you get, and it's just like, man, I feel so comfortable around them, and they they don't really judge. They just love, and it's just, even like I said, even though I can't, they're better again at speaking English, but especially when I was younger, I couldn't really communicate with them, but I always knew, like, they loved me, and they enjoyed my company, and that's the way it's going to be forever, and I can always, expect that they'd invite me with open arms, and I'd do the same to them. So it's good.
Yeah, your family. You need to, and I've said it before, that your family is probably the people that are going to back you up before anybody else. Yes, friends come and go, and you can have friends that are like family, but your family, more often than not, is the ones that are gonna stick with you, because they have that blood bond, and that's just been my experience. My brother is far off in a different part in North Carolina. My mother is down in the Florida Keys. Grandma's down there in the Keys, but we're still close, at least on the phone. Do you still call them regularly? Do you have any particularly family members that you hang out with, your cousins that are like, hey, that's the guy I go off, and what do you do in Texas?
We got a group chat that my grandmother and uncle, they didn't have phones, but now everybody's got a phone. So in that way, we can chat to each other, or send photos of what they're doing for the day. And the first day I got there, we were actually grilling. That was the thing that they like to do.
What's on the grill?
On the grill, it could be anything. It could be steak, could be pork. Just the thing about it is they cook the meat, but that's all that they cook. Like they don't have any side dishes or anything. Like they're very like meat heavy, and it's you get plenty of protein while you're over there. You're not going to lose any of those nutrients.
Well, that's what I find when I'm half Cuban and I'm familiar with the hug and the kiss, and then usually it's grandma, it's mom holding you down while grandma stuffs some food in your mouth.
Yes.
And yes, I'm a little bit of a bigger guy. Okay, I'm a bit of a bigger guy, and I think the Cuban part of my family won't let you do that. So the Mexican part of the family, is it from Mexico direct? Not any other part of South America? Because a lot of people will say, oh, you are Mexicans, but they're really from further in South America. So what part of Mexico does your background come from?
I think probably the capital. I can't think of the.
I know I heard a little bit from your mom, Monterrey or something like that.
Monterrey.
I think there was some mention of that, and if I'm not mistaken, and it hasn't been that long that we've done the podcast, but I remember she was telling a little bit about her story that Grandpa was a hard worker, put together tractor trailers, big rigs.
Yep.
And was he doing that in Texas too?
He was a tradesman. He liked to weld, specifically on 18-wheelers, and he had one of his own shops. And I think my mom told me that she'd be in the shop too. She'd be in that business atmosphere and communicating atmosphere. So I think from a very young age she was always in some kind of establishment where there's clients coming in and there's business to be made, and she picked up on it quick, and she's a really big influence for me business wise, because she's always been around hard workers, and Dad's certainly a hard worker. It's just something in the Mexican blood, I think, that just makes you work harder. I don't know.
Very stereotypical. I don't know if that's politically correct. Can we say all Mexicans are hard workers, or all Mexicans are not hard workers? I don't know. That's probably bad.
More often than not, I'm going to say that.
I say people are people, man. There's good ones, there's bad ones. Just judge everybody individually. There you go. and maybe that's the politically correct portion of the show, but I'm not very politically correct. I didn't grow up in this era. I grew up in a simpler time when everybody could pick on each other. and nobody was really going to be that mad about it.
They could be mad, but then they won't go after him or anything like that. It's just
get over it, man. Get over it. Now, so all right. So we talked a little bit about your grandpa and any other family members of note that kind of touched your spirit in Texas, in that area.
My cousins, Asael and Adrian and Alvaro, they're the cousins that I say were pretty much like my brothers, and Cesar too. And to me, I actually have two older brothers, Ben and Sam.
Oh,
they actually live in England,
right?
And the thing about my cousins though was they were just slightly older than I was, so I was the younger, annoying cousin that they'd have to watch at all the family get-togethers and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I kind of learned how to be cool, from them, just the way that they dress and the way that they carry themselves. So.
And just so you know, listeners, happy listeners, he is a cool guy. Joel Fountain, he's the coolest. Self-proclaimed, and admittedly so, and decidedly so. So you had. These are all older cousins, and you're learning from them a little bit, all right, all the good stuff is good, but any bad traits you come from them?
Let me think.
What they teach you?
Well, they teach me how to talk. to girls.
Ah.
So I learned how to be cool with them. And
How old are you on this at this point?
well, I remember from like 6 or 7, you know, and just having those get-togethers. I mean, you know, there's a bunch of people around, and you know, you might have different families that come in, and you know, because let me tell you, I'm sure you've been around. You've done a DJ for like a Hispanic party, like a quinceañera.
Orale.
Oh man! So you know, they have an awesome time, and that's
Sure.
probably one of my. I actually think of it now. I had a cousin, or my cousin's name's Samantha, and
Yeah.
she had a wedding, and you know, you all get dressed up and stuff like that.
A wedding, not a quince. This is a wedding.
No, it is a wedding.
Okay.
And she got married to a guy named Jose. They got 2 daughters now.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So, but I remember, and man, it's just that feeling of, you know, being surrounded by people that you know, and you know, it's not wanting to be around them because they're your blood, but it's
Right.
wanting to be around them because of the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And just, you know, and me, I don't, if you've seen me before, I just look like a white guy, you know. And,
Yeah.
And everybody else, you know, they're Hispanic, so.
You got a little browner skin, maybe?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I know when I've done any South American weddings, you know, weddings that are from people from South America that have come here, and they are happy. They are the happiest. You know, the music is always up tempo. Yes, they have their blues. They have their slower songs to make them think and cry. But okay, I don't know why a Brazilian wedding is coming into my head, and I remember this comedian was talking about a Brazilian wedding, and this is, you know, I don't know, this is off topic a little bit, but I remember he said, the Brazilian music, dun, 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 I've got no money, dun, 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 I've got 16 kids, dun, dun, we live in a Buick, dun, dun, let's party, you know, and that's the feeling I get from South America, is the people might be poor in a lot of respects, and in general, a lot of the people in South America are poor. The tourist areas, they pour tons of money into the tourist areas,
Yes.
but for the most part, if you get off of that main street, you got some poor people.
Yeah.
But for some reason, and it might be faith, this is something that's sticking in my head, they're very happy. They're very uplifted. They're very hopeful. Is that what you feel? Is that the feeling you get, or have you had another experience, Joel Fountain?
Well, I think that they were very grateful, and they still are, you know, and they, you know, my grandmother and my dad, they ran a business, but they weren't, you know, the most wealthy, and they didn't need much to have a good time and to make memories that are fond, and that, for me, it just makes me recognize to be grateful, you know, for what you have. You know, you don't need, you know, a big building or you know, like a fancy, you know, car and that kind of stuff. You just, as long as you have, you know, your family, and that feeling of belonging, for me, is a big part of it. And I've actually seen a photo where you see like these big tourist buildings in South America, and then you know, it's right there in the background, and it's taken on the street of a favela. So there's just this huge increase, you know, or difference, obviously, between the financial part of South America, whether it be like Brazil or, you know, Paraguay or Uruguay. You know, there's specifically in Brazil. I think the photo is in Brazil, but it's, yeah, I agree. There's a lot of poverty there, but at the same time, whenever you said, you know, they're making the most of it, I can just think of you know, these kids like kicking around a ball.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And you know, they call it football in South America, but for them, I mean, football is a big deal, and they put a lot of, you know, passion and pride into that sport, and that's one of them ways that they can come together, kind of like American football.
Sure.
You know, for us, you know, and that's just one of the many ways that they can, you know, band together as a country and celebrate what they have, you know.
Yeah, I remember playing American football in a backyard and even stickball in the streets and breaking some windows here and there. But that, you know, in Miami, that was a thing. But you know, you were saying, yes, you have these big, giant skyscrapers in the tourist part of town, and then a block away could be impoverished, could be a lean-to with, a whole families living in there. But that's a whole nother story. The football part, the soccer, as we call it in the United States of America, the football is so popular. And do you think that? And this is another thing that just came into my head. Do you think that it's kids that are thinking of a way out of poverty because they see these soccer stars and they want to be like them? You know, like somewhat like an American child would see a rock star and say, man, I want to be just like them. I want to be up on stage making millions of dollars and making people happy. I want to be on the field kicking a ball, making millions of dollars and making people happy. Do you think that that's a feeling that might happen while they're playing these games?
It's almost like seeing a superhero. And, you know, being a star, being like a hero is your mindset. And, you know, if you believe that you can do these things, you know, like your idols, then heck, that's the first step into achieving the dreams that you said, I believe. Now, you can have the mindset all day and then not take any action. And I feel like in South America, especially with the youth, I think that they're in a place where it's not as, you know, abundant as America, for example. And I think that for them, that's going to give them even more incentive to push through and to follow their dream for whatever it would be. So for us, I think Americans are definitely spoiled in that regard. You know, they may have like a football star or a soccer star, like, and then they may say they want to be like them, but are they really willing to like put in the work and to dedicate that much time into following their dreams? And I think that other countries are able to, I don't want to say it's easier for them to do it, but I feel like they're more inspired to follow their dream, whether it be like an athlete or a musician. So.
Oh yeah. And you touched on it a little bit. Yes, I know that I'm privileged being here, born in the United States of America, living relatively a safe life. Yes, there have been shootings at schools and other public places, but we have it pretty easy here in the United States of America. And I have to say it, because we're here in the middle of Conway, Arkansas. There's no chance, hardly any chance, that somebody's going to drop a bomb here, and that you can't say that for other countries. Particularly, in the Middle East. And it might be sensationalized. I've never been to the Middle East, but I've seen it on the news. I've heard it on the news that they get bombed all the time. If someone in the Middle East can rebuke that, possibly come on the podcast, that'd be fine too. But from what we hear, they're getting bombed all the time. They're ducking all the time. Their houses are rubble. Is that what you've gotten from that Joel found?
I don't watch too much news, but as far as I know, there's always going to be greed.
Where do you get your news? You being one of the young men, what are you, 21, 22?
Just 20.
20 years old. And where do you get your news? Because I've heard we don't watch TV anymore. I don't watch TV anymore.
A lot of the information I get is actually from these pictures in the form of memes. So people create these funny kind of like comics or stories that pertain to what's actually going on in the world, and it's kind of a comic relief way to understand what kind of events are happening in the world. So there's this app called iFunny, and you can kind of like scroll through there, and they've got different pictures, whether it be like just more funny centered or actually pertaining to what's going on in today. One of the more relative memes that came about is actually a couple weeks old, but the Area 51 idea, that there's constant coverage on that a couple weeks ago, and to me the one thing I've noticed, and I'm sure you're aware of it too, is there is so much information in this day and age. Like, there could be, for example, you're talking about like the mass shootings. Like, I'm certain that we won't forget. Like, the families that are impacted will never forget that situation. But it's happening so often that it's almost like some of these things get brushed under the rug. Like, and it's only because we're so bombarded with information constantly.
Yeah.
And whether it be, the new ad for the chicken sandwich or, buying a new car and that kind of stuff. And we're really, it's kind of tough to pick out, what is the truth and what is kind of, constructed from the people that own the media and the people that, want us to be limited what we learn in the outside world. And I think the best way to actually see what's going on is to go out there and experience it, for yourself. And but for me, I want to travel as much as I can.
Yeah.
And for my dad, he traveled all around the world. He's actually from Cambridge, England. Like I said,
Cambridge, England. You said you had two older brothers.
Two other older brothers from England. And
what do they do out there?
Ben, he's the oldest one. He actually runs a newspaper business. He runs.
You were just talking about that. Where you get your news.
Right. He runs a website for Cambridge, so it's one of the media outlets there. And then my second oldest brother is named Sam. He's in Chicago. Last time I heard, he was a translator, so he speaks Spanish. So.
Oh, he speaks Spanish, but he's from England.
You're right.
Okay, I used to tell people I speak English and bad English, so two languages. Yeah. But okay, you mentioned memes, and I liken the memes to political cartoons. There's always been political satire, political cartoons since newspapers, since print came about. Yeah. People have been drawing their Caesars. Oh, look at him! He's got a funny nose. Let's do that, and put a little caption there, and make him say something. And you just have to find a news source that's trustworthy. But some of them can be skewed to what you like, so you don't know if you're just listening to somebody just like you and then ignoring somebody who's not like you. It's kind of hard to discern what is the truth and what is not. And deep fakes, what have you heard about this? I know I'm might be sending it off the rails. Do you know what a deep fake is?
I think so.
I'm trying to learn more about them.
Well, with social media and with all these websites that we've visited over our internet careers, they're collecting information all the time. What your interests are, what you like to buy, who the people that you hang around with, and this information, can be abused. And they always keep it in their terms and their agreement. Like, you have to electronically sign it every time, and we're constantly being I feel like recorded, because our phones always have mics on us and stuff like that. But deep fake is that what the faces, like you could change up the faces to match
this is the rabbit hole that I went down on YouTube. The Nick Cage is the one that I was directed to. Hey, go check out the Nick Cage deep fakes, where they've put Nick Cage in all these movies. They put him in Indiana Jones, where he was, they called it National Treasure 3, and he was holding the staff and having the sun beam down through the idol onto the rock, where like Harrison Ford was doing, and things of that. Like, supposedly there's a Nicolas Cage Yoda, where they put his face on Yoda.
Oh, really?
And it's amazing what people can do, and I don't know who invented it. The facial recognition technology that was able to capture one face and put it onto another face, another body, and this can be dangerous. There's one of President Obama, and it's obviously Jordan Peele's voice, or else people would have been very upset about it. but it's Jordan Peele talking as President Obama, and Obama has his face, they're moving his mouth, his lips to the words that Jordan Peele is saying. And could you imagine that somebody would take your face and put it on somebody else's body that's similar to yours and make you do things?
Well, I know personally that I wouldn't be doing those actions that they portrayed me on. Even if I think it'd be pretty cool that somebody took their time to put my face on somebody else. But I've done a little bit of research into it, like you were saying, on YouTube.
Sure.
And they were saying it's the AI. Like
Right.
you're using AI to construct the facial part on another piece, in the cinematography of it, like on movies. Actually, what's the one, the Scorpion King?
Oh yeah.
You've seen
Yeah.
they used a deep fake on that one too, and when The Rock came out as the Scorpion King, like he's busting through the doors and
Sure.
it's rattling, and the CGI isn't the best.
No.
And we only say that compared to
It's
what we
very
have
early. Yeah, you're right.
to today. And I saw a video like they went back and actually kind of redid like the details, and they actually used deepfake to put Rock's actual face on the Scorpion King's head.
How to look after.
Way better.
Way better.
Way better.
I know they've used it to de-age Michael Douglas and the ant and the ant and the wasp. They used it to de-age Kurt Russell in the Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and probably Princess Leia. What was her? Carrie Fisher's.
Carrie Fisher.
Oh, I can't believe it. I just lost nerd points. Sorry. Carrie Fisher's face in the latest, I think it was the Rogue One movie.
Rogue One.
And they looked progressively better and better and better as time progresses. It will not be discernible. You may be able to make a movie with just one computer programmer on a keyboard.
That's really beautiful, I think.
Is it, or is it scary? Or they can buy the rights to your likeness, put you in a movie. You just made whatever $1,000 for your likeness. They made $1 million.
Right. I mean, your face, you grew that. That is yours. And it's just another way that people can collect information about you, and they may not use it in the best way, but I think that technology-wise is such a big jump. And AI, there's a bunch of different theories you can think about it, but we know for sure that it's always improving.
Right.
Literally, it's just like the human brain, and it's going to get to a point where it computes even faster than what we can think or what we can process, and AI could even make movies using our faces on it and constructing their own journeys or endeavors, and it's kind of weird because you think you relate these movies to the human story, like being a hero or going through drama and that kind of stuff. And I think that I would really be excited to see what AI could do, writing like a script or creating like a hero's journey, because we attribute that to, like I said, being a human. And
sure.
that's why we watch a movie, because we can relate to it. So what is an AI going to do with that kind of story? How are they going to write it? Because they may not have the emotion of a human. Well, obviously they don't, because obviously it's just a computer or a program. But it'd be interesting to see what they come up with, just to from their perspective as an AI.
Still working on that emotion program.
Yeah.
You can argue that we are all machines, with our own programs and algorithms built into our brains. We're chemical machines, and what's to say that can't be developed with our limited knowledge, but all put together, we can build anything. We can make anything, really.
For sure.
If you dream it, you can you can make it. So I noticed you have a laptop. How far in computers are you? What do you like to do on your computer?
Well, I like to be on social media. I like Facebook and that kind of stuff. And being able to use a computer is very important for anybody in this day and age. And I picked it up from a really young age, like maybe like 5 or 6. So I just kind of, just one day use the mouse and keyboard, and I don't know, just like a kid learning how to ride a bike. I just tried until got the hang of it. And of course, as a kid, you like to play games.
Yeah,
so,
as a 5 or 6 year old, what are you doing on the computer?
Yeah, just playing games and seeing what other people play games. There was a website called Poptropica, and you can have your own character and customize it and run around and that kind of stuff.
I don't think I've ever heard of that. Poptropica.
Poptropica, that's been around for a little while. And then there's another game called Roblox, where it's like Lego people, and you can run around and make your own worlds and that kind of stuff.
You're schooling me, Joel Fountain. I mean, I remember, was it SimCity?
SimCity.
That I played, and that when you said that, that's what I kind of thought in my head.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Okay, so there's different games that you've played. Yeah, I know when I first picked up a computer, let's see, I was studying Apple Basic probably in 6th grade, but you're before that. No, 7th grade, maybe 7th or 8th grade. We were programming some Apple IIs or Apple Lisas, and we had a little computer program, and it's mostly if this, go to that. It was a flow chart that you typed in to make a stick go from one side to the other
Graphing
of the computer. Yeah. Correct. And here you're at 6 years old playing games. This is on the computer. Did you have video game systems as well?
When I was young, around 5 or so, I remember having like a Game Boy Color.
Game Boy Color, okay. Handheld, I guess that's what that is.
Handheld, and playing Pokemon and Pac-Man and that kind of stuff. So I've always played video games, and for me, I feel like that was a good way for me to work on my creative, aspects. And I think when I had all of them. I had like a Game Boy Color, and from there I went on to PlayStation, and then PlayStation 2, and that's when I switched. Actually, I played PlayStation 2 for about 3 years. And then I moved over to Xbox.
Hey, you jumped to the other side.
Moved to the other side.
Is that like moving from Democrat to Republican, or vice versa, one of the two?
On iFunny, it's definitely a debate.
Head-to-head battle on that one, right?
Head-to-head battle, but there's even a greater console, or not even a console or a system. It's a computer. Mm-hmm. You can put any kind of video card you want in there, memory system, that kind of stuff.
Do you have one of these?
I don't.
Well, is this like Steam? What is?
Yeah. I played games on Steam too, like Half-Life 2. Have you heard of that one?
Well, I got a joystick to plug into my computer, and I was trying to play this Mech Warrior game, because I remember playing Mech on my computer when, I guess maybe 2000, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And or maybe the mid 2000s, and I remember liking that game. So I found a game that was similar to it on Steam, and I got this real nice Logitech joystick, and all I could do was run into a mountain. It was kind of like there was a skit on SNL talking about what's the game where the guy dances in there, the one where they have the dance moves, they do the Carlton.
Just Dance? Is that?
No. It's like a fighting game, a RPG game, I guess, where they carry guns and stuff, and then once they kill somebody, they do some dancing.
I'm not sure.
It's very very popular game, and I know it's
Fortnite.
Fortnite, that's the one. Okay, there's a skit on SNL where on Fortnite there's 3 kids and Dad wants to play, so he jumps in. They're like, Dad, what are you doing here? And he starts running into a wall. That's all he can do. And that's how I felt when I was playing Steam. I'm old, everybody. I'm old. Joel Fountain, teach us how to play these games properly.
Right. Well, funnily enough, the younger generation, the younger people teach themselves. It's so weird how they just pick it up so quickly, and I think it's because we're constantly surrounded by it.
There's computers everywhere.
Everywhere, all the time.
Yeah.
In your pocket,
How about at school?
at school. I mean, you know better than I do. They've always had computers at school, but
Right, but now even more so. You just graduated 2 years ago, or
Yes, yes.
Was it last year or 2 years ago?
2 years.
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Tell me about your computer experience in school.
I took a typing class. I forget what it's called, but you learn where to put your fingers on the keys, and so that way, you don't have to look at the keyboard. You can just look up here while you're typing, and so that was useful. And then every class you have to do some sort of presentation, and you make these presentations on the computer.
What?
Using PowerPoint.
Okay.
So, that's something you really had to know how to do.
Every class.
Every class. The biggest one that I remember was in English.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to do like a book report or some kind of presentation on a prompt or something like that. One of my fondest memories was doing a presentation for Miss Gray. We were reading the book called The Great Gatsby, and that's classic.
Sure.
Everybody's probably read that in school sometime, and she wanted us to do a presentation on a certain part of the book, and my choice was to do a presentation on Great Gatsby's car. If you've seen the movie, he's got like this nice, lavish, like 20s car that's killer for the time. And at the same time I was in this English class, I was in drafting class. And drafting is kind of where you're doing design of a house and that kind of stuff. And
Now you're making the motion like you're writing on paper, which is how drafting used to be.
Yes.
That's also a computer now too, right?
it is.
Because one of my best buddies in Fort Lauderdale, he's got a program where he drafts.
There you go. So that's where I'm getting into it.
Yeah.
I took drafting for 2 years. The first part was you have to learn how to
do it on blueprints.
Yeah, the very traditional way of doing it. Then the second year, that's when we got into the computer program of the CAD. It's computer-aided design. And we were learning how to do these geometrical shapes and that kind of stuff. And one of the newest things in like the past decade is 3D printing.
Okay.
And our school was actually fortunate enough to receive one of these 3D printers.
Okay.
So what we did was, after I had finished all my geometrical designs, they have a workbook that you have to go through, and you have to see like how to make these objects, and then you have to transverse it onto the program. But after I had finished, I had the idea of making Great Gatsby's car in the computer-aided design. And of course, it wasn't every little detail down to like the spokes of his wheel or anything like that. But I was actually the first student to use a 3D printer for like a different project in the school. So that's something that I always remember is.
So you printed this car?
I printed it.
Cool.
Yes.
What happened to the car? Still have it?
I still got it.
You still got it?
Yes.
That's great.
I've held on to it. Of course, I got an A.
Yeah, of course he did.
Because
he's not bragging, because it's true.
Yeah. But I just like to present, and that's actually something that I'm doing at my current job, in my current career.
Let's back up. When you were doing that on the computer, did you have to have your own computer, or there was one computer with a projector on it, and you had to bring a thumb drive or a CD to present? Well, how did you present?
Conway is a very fortunate school. I might be a little biased because I didn't go to any other schools, but every classroom has this chest with wheels on it. Yeah. And you could slide this chest open, and there would be a line of what's called Chromebooks. And so Conway had to deal with that company. So every classroom had like 30 Chromebooks, and in this chest is got like chargers and stuff. So each individual student would have their own Chromebook, so they could make their own presentations. They can write their own documents, their own prompts, and that kind of stuff. And along with that, each student had their own login information. So you'd have your, for example, your name and then a couple numbers after it, and then so forth. So everybody could find their documents wherever they write their homework, doing it on the computer and that kind of stuff. You couldn't take them home.
No.
because some people wouldn't bring them back.
Yes. Yes.
So you had to hold on to them. But just thinking back on it, we were really fortunate as a school, and I loved going to school, because it was just easy for me to learn, and also the friends that I made too is a huge part of it.
Well, Conway, Arkansas. Let's make a little a small public service message for the Conway tourism here. There's a reason that I was able to be convinced to come from Miami, Florida, to Conway, Arkansas. People would think, "Oh, that's a small town in Arkansas." Arkansas, really? You're leaving Florida? You live in Miami, Florida, where it's all happening? And the city of Conway, Arkansas is just so well built. The city planning is so well done, and Conway Corps is a big part of it, where you have all your services, the phone, the internet, the electricity, all put together in one bill, which makes it all smaller. And then the city planners, this place, the sign has always said about 58,000 people live here. And it's a city of colleges. A lot of kids come through here, a lot of young minds. And I think a lot of the young minds that think differently, they start to bring in their own ideas. The younger people start helping out the older folks to get off their older ways and help them think differently. I think that's part of the reason that Conway, Arkansas has prospered, even during recession. And I'm talking to a young person right here, 20-year-old Joel Fountain. So tell me more about your school experience in Conway, Arkansas. Conway High School, I guess it is?
Conway High School. My elementary school, after I went to St. Joseph, is actually right down the road from my house, Florence Madison.
Okay, yes.
And it's just walking distance from here, and I like my teachers there. And then from there I went to Simon.
But you've always lived in this house, in this area?
Well, I actually lived on Grandview Heights. It's a place where a lot of the young kids like to go at night and just watch the city lights, because if you're going on the way to Beaver Fork,
okay,
you can turn onto the hill, and I used to live on a house up there called Grandview Heights, and I lived there until I was 5, and then came down here. So
in Conway, Arkansas, not really in the city, but it is growing to this direction.
Yes.
There is a new complex with a brand new Sam's and AT&T is over there, and there's Bam Books A Million and Pet Store. So there's a whole new
on the border
complex
David
on
Burgers.
the border. Oh yeah, a whole new complex there.
Yeah.
So it's growing in this direction. And once again, Conway, Arkansas will prosper where other places may not. They might fall apart.
For sure.
So thank you, Conway, Arkansas city planners and all, and the government around here. Thank you. So Joel Fountain, you had a good experience in your school, Florence Madison, and then what was the other one?
Simon Intermediate.
Okay.
That was a good one.
6th, 7th, and 8th, I guess?
Yes, 6th, 7th, and 8th. And, well, I think it was just 6th, or 5th and 6th. So,
okay.
Yeah, so 5th and 6th there. And they had these bashes. It's kind of like a prom.
Like a dance.
Like
okay.
a dance.
All right.
That was really cool. All your friends go there, and you got a DJ,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just a good way for kids to have fun in a safe way. It's like prom, but for, like I said, 5th and 6th grade. So that was a lot of fun to go to.
Did you use any of those skills that you learned at 6 years old from your cousins to talk to girls?
I did. I certainly did. Probably more during class than dances, but
Okay.
Yeah.
So still, it's a middle school dance. I'm guessing there's girls on that side, boys on that side, and just maybe like 2 people dancing in the middle, But this is just what I experienced.
at Conway, everybody was dancing.
All right, good.
And I remember whatever the most popular song was, just like any generation, that they'd be playing on the speakers. So
Very good.
I remember Soldier Boy.
Yes.
That one's blasting out at Simon, and everybody's dancing and getting down to that. So, and then I went to the middle school, the Bob Courtway is the next one I went to.
Okay.
And that's the junior high.
All right.
It's not the middle school. It's the junior high. So
And is that 7th, 8th, 9th then?
that is 7th, 8th, 9th.
Okay,
right there.
it's a little different in Miami. It's 6, 7, 8, and then 9 through 12 would be the high school. So it's 10 through 12 is the high school here.
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct. Yeah,
So-
they didn't want to have the freshmen devoured, just like in Dazed and Confused. you
Yes,
know.
that does happen. And it does happen. If you're a smaller freshman, you're going to get beat up.
Beat up.
Sadly.
Yeah. Thankfully, I was never bullied.
Okay.
I always had friends that respected me, and most of the people, especially in high school, knew who I was. So
Yeah.
they knew not to mess around. And if anybody was getting messed around, especially my friends, I'd say like, "Hey, come on, like that's not what we're here for. We're here to like just learn and
Use that cheerful disposition. Come on, guys.
exactly.
Come on.
mediator. That's just like whoa. So
Protecting the little man. All right, I get it. That's good. Joel Fountain, he's a good dude. And these are like the early days and you developing as a person in your young youth. So, all right, we haven't even really touched on the music or we touched a little bit on your theatrics, on your beginnings of your artistry, your creativeness. Let's touch on the music. Let's go for it. Where did you start in the music career? What was the first instrument you picked up?
6th grade.
Sixth
They had an open house for the band. I remember it was on a Wednesday, and after school, all the kids could come in and test the instruments. They have like a saxophone, trumpet, baritone, tuba, just like the typical band instruments, the marching band instruments. And did a little bit of the trumpet, and after that, I went on to trombone. And then I played a little bit of trombone. I was like, that's not bad. I think I'll enjoy playing trombone. And my teacher, his name was Mr. Taylor.
Right.
He's a fairly tall guy. He's got glasses and like white hair and a mustache. And
Sounds like a music teacher.
yeah, typical music teacher. And he had a great attitude. He's just very happy, but at the same time, serious to where he made us understand the instrument. And he had a little classroom. It was kind of like a hole in the wall, like all the way in the back next to the band room. It was almost like a closet.
Right.
But we got to learn all the positions on the trombone, and even before you learn the positions or how to move your fingers, you got to learn how to blow into the trombone or the mouthpiece.
Sure.
And you do an action like a making it blowing a raspberry, and that's one of the ways that you could make sounds with a trombone. So I love to learn the sheet music and that kind of stuff, and that was a big deal as a musician, learning just like the sheet music and how to like count and that kind of stuff.
So in the band at 6th grade.
In the band.
Okay, and then trombone. You still play?
I have my trombone.
You have it.
I don't play it.
Man, I know you're in a rock and roll band. If you whip out that trombone, you're going to freak people out. You're going to blow
sure.
people's minds.
Going on a quick tangent.
Please.
We saw this band, Hunter and Grant and I. We went to King's Friday night, and there's a band called Greasy Street.
Okay.
And they're like a rock and roll band, like 2 guitars, bass player, and drums.
Sure.
But they also have a saxophone.
Yeah.
And I was really impressed with the melodies that were going on in the music that they were playing. And you don't really expect in like a hard rock kind of band to have saxophone, but I can think of a perfect example to contradict that is Pink Floyd Money.
Sure.
The saxophone solo on that is like, whoa, it's wild. So I think that...
So what song did they play? Was it Greasy what?
Greasy Street.
Greasy Street. What song did they play that featured a saxophone?
Well, one of their originals was called See the Light. And it's just like a rock song. It's just like 3 chords, but you have the guitars, but then you'd also have the saxophone and then just singing too. So it's just beautiful layers on top of each other. And
So who dropped what instrument to play the saxophone?
I think they were always just had a saxophone player, or maybe the saxophone player came in because there was 5. There was 5.
Right, you had 2 guitars,
a
bass,
drums, and then
a vocalist.
Well, the bass player is a vocalist.
Okay.
And then one of the guitarists is a vocalist.
Okay.
Yes.
So who picked up the sax?
Picked up a sax is saxophone player. I forget his name.
Maybe one of the guitarists?
No, he's
Just a whole nother guy and just showed up?
just a whole nother guy.
So number 6. Hey, I'm number 6.
No. I mean, like there is 5. So there's
Okay.
in the band, all of them had microphones.
Yes.
So they were all singing.
Yeah.
And then the 5th one is the saxophone player.
Yeah.
He's just got a mic for his saxophone.
Yes.
So that is, just another way for the band to incorporate a melody
Yeah.
into their song, and it just makes it so much more full
Yeah.
of a sound. And man, it's another example is the Akeem Kemp band
Okay.
that played at Mad Battle. And
And
actually,
this is something that you were doing recently?
yes,
Tell me about Mad Battle.
that was 2 weeks ago. Man, that was a lot of fun.
Where was it?
El Dorado, Arkansas. It was
Way down south.
way down south. We made it down there and met a bunch of cool bands.
Yes. Kind of excited to hear about this. Go.
Oh man, there was a band called McEwen.
Oh, I just talked to McEwen on the podcast.
Yeah, they were rocking. They are like a huge stage show. Like all the band members are moving and
Yeah.
jiving, interacting with the crowd. And
Oh, Greg's big time. He's good.
man, and the 2 really talented guitarists, awesome front man. Everybody in the band is really cool, and I'm not surprised that they made it to the top 5. They're
Oh, excellent.
really sharp band, and just being able to watch these other musicians as a musician and being able to play amongst them as well as.
Yes.
Even if we didn't make it to the top 5, the experience that we gained
Yes.
at such a young age is, it's really a big deal. And
It is a big deal.
We're going to benefit from it
Oh, yeah.
years down the road.
And you, the listeners, are going to be benefiting as well
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. You're going to be
from that experience.
jamming out to the music. So we really learned that we need to take our time
Yes.
in preparation for a show.
So did you play covers or did you play originals in that?
We did 2 originals. We did OG2.
Okay.
And one of the new songs we haven't recorded yet is called Electric Death.
Yes.
So we played that one.
And this is with Sideswipe.
Sideswipe.
In case I didn't mention that before, Joel Fountain is the front man for Sideswipe.
Mad Battle, Sideswipe takes on Mad Battle. We played 2 originals and then finished out with War Pigs. And
Pigs.
that was the favorite among not only the people in the crowd, but the other bands listening.
Believe it.
They were rocking
A lot
out.
of guitar on that one, good bass line, a lot of drum. Yeah, that's a hard rocking song.
It
man.
is. It really is. Ozzy's.
And were you doing the Ozzy as?
Oh, yeah.
Just Ozzy as Ozzy.
Ozzy as Ozzy. I've always got my own sound to my voice.
Yes,
but,
you do. Yes, you do.
Ozzy's got a very distinct one as
Yes.
well. We did an interview after the show.
I saw.
Which is on our Facebook page.
Yes.
And Emily Cole was the interviewer. Man, she worked it that night. There's a post on her page, Emily Cole. She had 17 different outfit changes throughout the whole night.
Excellent.
And she was the one that interviewed us. But talking about...
No, that means Emily Cole took it seriously.
She did.
She said, you know what? I'm going to perform this.
Yes.
If I'm going to be the MC, I'm not going to just be the MC. I'm going to be the MC and perform this.
Right.
She's like a spokesmodel,
Right.
with the different changes. That's great. That adds flavor.
Cheerleader. She wore a taco outfit.
Excellent.
She had blue hair, and just keeping the crowd
Yes.
entertained, keeping the energy level up.
I like
and
that.
I'm not really surprised because she actually sings in a band
Oh, okay.
as well.
Emily
So,
Cole, okay.
She really talented. So she was interviewing the band, and I was talking about. She asked us. She was like, what are some of your biggest influences? And I was like, AC/DC. That's the number one. That's my band.
Yes.
And Bon Scott,
Yes.
the lead singer, of that he had a very distinct voice.
Yeah, Brian Jones does a good Bon Scott imitation,
Yes.
and that had to be done. He could not sing it any other way. He had to sing like
Bon Scott.
Bon Scott.
I don't think anybody can. I mean,
Yeah.
when I sing his songs, I can't even do it justice, and I'm a fairly talented singer. But that's only because he's a legend. And were just talking about idols earlier. He's probably one of my biggest idols. You know, not only with his voice and his distinction, but also his stage presence and his energy that just gets the crowd just really excited to be there and, you know, to have a good time.
So who turned you on to AC/DC? I know Dad's from the UK, but that's just me projecting. Who turned you on to AC/DC?
Both my parents love classic rock.
Okay.
They obviously grew up during that time where, you know, the Rolling Stones and Bon Jovi were just getting started. So
what do you mean? The Rolling Stones are still on tour?
Right.
What are you talking about?
Right.
Those guys are still doing it.
I don't know how. They're like 70, but
Kiss is still doing it. They're like 70.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Well, they're another bands that hopefully we get to playing into our 70s, 80s even. But for the people who got me into AC/DC, I remember my uncle. I remember him buying me one of the live albums, and we have a little CD player when I was younger.
Right.
And I remember falling to sleep to the live album almost every night.
How are you going to fall asleep to AC/DC? They're just screaming at you.
I don't know. Just TNT and
for sure.
Dirty Deeds all night, and
it's so soothing.
yeah, it put me to sleep.
Well, it just started raining outside. Speaking of soothing, here in Conway, Arkansas.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing the rain on the window at the Mockingbird Studios, talking to Joel Fountain. So, yeah, maybe that'll change the mood of this podcast a little bit. Rain always changes my mood a little bit.
We needed it. We've been in a drought, I feel like, for a couple weeks because it's been so hot.
Just being outside, and you know what's funny? That every time I go and meet with somebody new, and I do a lot of driving around, and I talk to people, all over this fine state of ours, and first thing pretty much I've been saying, and it's been a funny thing in my head. I go, whew, global warming is real. Have you seen that big ball of fire outside?
Right.
It's getting closer, I think. So global warming is real.
Yes.
Maybe that'll spark a conversation, possibly.
Oh man, climate change is real, and there's no denying it. I feel like there's always going to be a change in specifically the temperature, and corresponds to our carbon footprint. You know, you cannot deny that we are impacting the weather and the environment as a whole. I mean, you look at the ice caps melting, and you look at increasing temperatures everywhere. You know, you can't just say that it's just a cycle of the Earth.
The climate change deniers will always say that the Earth is always changing. There's always been a cycle, and yes, that is absolutely true. It gets colder, it gets hotter, but our carbon footprint, what the humans have done, and even, well, I guess indirectly, when we grow animals for food, that's also us leaving our footprint. When we grow cows and they give off methane, that's also us. So yes, we are promoting climate change, or helping it along for better or worse. Hopefully we can do better.
Hopefully. We can definitely take action, whether it be recycling or buying certain products that aren't as impactful on the environment. But when you buy these things, you may not even be aware of the impact that it has environmentally wise. So is it by accident? No, because we're consuming those products, so I feel like we have to take responsibility and take action to make the next generation, somewhat comfortable in the world that we leave, for them. So funny that you're saying about growing food, about like the methane production, that kind of stuff. I was on Facebook. Like I say, I'm on social media, and when you get on Facebook, they have a video that somebody might have shared. Once you visit that video, there's another one at the bottom, and you could just keep scrolling, pertaining to what you like or pertaining to what the content of that video is. And I was on Facebook, and I was looking at this video, and this lab has created its own chicken. and it's actually grown it from chicken cells. So
Yes.
it's tricked the cells into actually making the fiber of like the muscle
Oh, yeah.
and all that. So it's like, whoa, like when did we get to a point where we could, you know, grow our own food and
Oh, I've heard of making steaks this way. Sure.
yeah, and is this then the next step, you know, into, you know, reducing the carbon footprint? Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm game. I mean, I know a lot of people are very leery of change. Anything that's a change. Ooh, I'm not going to eat that GMO chicken, that genetically modified steak, you know, a pig that was grown in a lab. Ew.
Right.
Well, it's probably cleaner. It's probably been regulated a whole lot more.
Right.
You know, you have a cow out in the field. Who knows what they're eating? You know, they're eating some grass, but they're probably taking in some bugs and some bug spray and out there. But
Right.
if you grow it in a lab, it's probably cleaner.
Yeah, you know exactly, you know, is what's going into there. And you
Yeah.
know, I'm not an expert on it. Like I said,
Right, right,
I was just
right.
looking at a Facebook.
This is all
video.
fuzzy, real fuzzy. You can look it all up. You know, check our facts.
Yeah, exactly. But when you think about that, it's like, wow, what other things can we make in the lab that we can use for everyday life that we don't have to get, you know, from Mother Nature and to hurt her. So I don't know. It's cool to see that there's always people out there trying to, you know, clean up the mess that we've made, and it's kind of like a constant battle, you know, like you could you know, consume things that you know, make more trash, and you can also you know, make a way for that trash to be constructed into like a bowl or something like that. So
Yeah,
you know,
one thing that was promoted, at least in my high school and college days, was going and helping the community. Community service. It's something that they teach the kids, and it's a good thing to teach. If you don't teach it at home, where you tell the kids, hey, clean up your room, take out the garbage, you know, go wash my car, you know, give them a work ethic, and then go clean up the streets a little bit. You know, hey, why don't you clean up the yard? There's a little garbage out there. That's something that gets taught, at least in my high school and my college. We went to the beach in Fort Lauderdale and we cleaned it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Is that something that you do? I know there's no beaches in Arkansas, but there's plenty of lakes and plenty of places where people throw trash.
I know.
Is that something that you were instilled in you? Or?
well, I mean, I don't go on the street and pick up trash or anything
Sure.
like that. Like I'm not out there, but I try to make sure that if I see anything that's out of place, you know, I at least, you know, pick it up and throw it away.
Yeah, if you sweep your own doorstep, the whole world will be clean. If everybody swept their doorstep, their area, the whole world will be clean.
Exactly. And whenever you're going to, if you're going to do community service, it's good to make a difference by yourself, but it's even better to do it with other people.
Yeah.
And you can have a sense of camaraderie and, you know, achieving something that benefits the world. So it's one part, you know, like you're doing it to feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
Maybe it might be a little egotistical, but it's another part to actually think about the action that you're taking and the part that improves.
Guys out there, listeners, do it to impress a girl. How about that? Go pick up some trash on the highway, and then you can brag about it.
Right.
Because you know what that's what most heterosexual men are into is just what can I do to impress a girl? There, go clean up some stuff.
Right.
Clean the world.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to invite a girl over, might as well have like a nice, you know, clean, tidy house, or you know, make sure it's a little presentable.
Right. All right, man. Hanging out in the Mockingbird Studios. I know I took us on a tangent. You were going through what your early influences of music were, AC/DC and the like, classic rock. You know, we didn't do. I know before we get back into that, England. Have you ever been to England?
I have.
How often do you go over to England?
The only time I remember was
Okay.
for my brother's wedding.
Brother,
I was
older brother or the
older
younger
brother. Ben's wedding.
Ben's wedding. The newspaper man.
Newspaper man. He's really, really smart. He got married to his wife Bonnie, in 2005. And so I was 5 years old. We all traveled together as a family, mom, dad, sister, and I was the ring bearer. So I got to be in a suit and that kind of stuff. And funny story, I remember it was in a castle, and it was raining, kind of like it is outside right now. And it was lovely. It was a really nice wedding. I was supposed to be the ring bearer, but my brother Sam took the job. He took the job from me right before I was to present it. So,
All right, Sam, good job.
Yeah, well, he made sure that it was done.
So, brother Sam, we didn't even talk about. Oh yeah, he's Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago.
Chicago Sam. There you go.
Chicago Sam.
Yeah.
So that's the only time I've been, and I had cousins and uncles and aunts just like I did in Texas. It's that side of the family too, but I just didn't get to see them, as often. So
yeah.
And
how was the greeting in England as compared to Texas? As I know, yes, my Latin side of the family just real loving, hugs, touchy, feely. We love you, and here's some food. But what was the England felt like?
Oh, it was typical, like hug and say, how's it going, and it was more of like pulling pranks on each other and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Like that's how we kind of showed our.
What's the prank? What do you remember?
Well, it may be like scaring each other, like jumping out from somewhere and making each other jump. Just small stuff like that. But it's just you break into laughter, and everybody could be like crying and laughing sometimes.
All right. As long as it's not hurting anybody.
No.
Oh, I hit you on the head with a frying pan.
Whoops.
Don't hit people on the head with a frying pan.
Yes.
A public service message from What Makes You Famous podcast. All right, Joel Fountain. We're in England, and 5 years old. That was Big Ben, Parliament. That's pretty much it.
That's it.
No, were you anywhere in London? You said you were in a different part.
Cambridge. I think we went to London too, but
you did. Okay.
I remember taking, because they've got those red phone booths. I remember.
Sure.
There's a bench there, and take a picture by it. So.
Dig it. All right. Very famous. Yeah, the red phone booths, and Doctor Who with the blue phone booth. Mm-hmm. Nerds. Okay,
Yeah.
So Joel Fountain, you come back from England, brother's wedding, and we can get back into your musical early music. 6th grade, you're playing trumpet in the band. He's in the band, man.
Yeah.
And you got this cool teacher with the white hair and the glasses, very tall. Mm-hmm. Of course, when you're in 6th grade, pretty much everybody's taller than you, right?
Yes. Yes.
I remember meeting kids when they were in their 6th grade, and I looked like a giant to them. But then later, I'd catch them as a senior, and be like, "Oh, you're not as big as I thought you were," because we're the same height now. Mm-hmm. So it's all perspective. So trombone and AC/DC and the early musical influences on Joel Fountain.
Yes. Being in band, you meet other musicians, and a lot of those people are my friends. Ethan and Jalen and Gustavo and Tyler. Still friends.
Wow, small town. I love it.
I know it. Half of them actually went to Fayetteville to go to college. But as a musician in school, you meet, like I said, other musicians, and it's funny, we kind of shared the same interests and same humor, so that was a big part of it. But whenever I was in 6th grade, I ended up first chair, and I was really pleased with that. And every couple months or so, because you've been practicing all these songs, you got to do a performance. So we'd have these concerts where my family would come out and watch me play the trombone, and everybody's in an attire, which is like tuxedo.
Oh.
So everybody had tuxedo unless you're a girl, you got a nice black dress, but it's concert black, because everybody. I'm sure that's the same through every kind of school system, and
sure.
I loved it because you get to dress up and you get to perform. So
Yes.
I just been so used to performing. I didn't really think about it how often I was doing it. I was just at that age. But I did trombone until 9th grade, and around that time I was taking Taekwondo. a lot more seriously.
When did you start the Taekwondo?
I started Taekwondo when I was 11 years old.
11, okay.
My dad.
Why? Yeah.
My dad's name is his name's Jeff, and it's always like martial arts. Growing up in England, you got to know how to defend yourself because if you got friends, they're most likely at the bar, right? And at bars, there's scuffles, pretty much all the time. And
wait, you mean there's bars in England? There's pubs in England? Mm-hmm. Like every 10 feet, from what I understand?
Every 10 feet. That's
at least in the big cities, I've heard.
The term pub walking, I think, that came around for that one. But
so, all right, when I think of England, I think of martial arts. No, I really didn't. I've never said that statement before. No. So martial arts in England.
Well,
Jeff, your dad.
That's what I was getting into. You got to learn how to fight.
Okay.
And so he was a street fighter, pretty much. And from there, he started training styles like karate styles, what's called Wateroo, which is doing punches and kicks where it's really emphasis on the art part of it. So your stance has to be really strong. Straight back leg, and you're doing punches where your other hand comes back to your ribs. And
did you say Wateroo?
Wateroo. That's karate style. So
I'd never heard of Wateroo.
Yeah.
Who developed this, or do you know?
It's a Japanese style.
It is Japanese. Okay.
And another style is Shotokan. Have you heard of Shotokan karate?
It reminds me of a familiar name,
yeah.
But when you said Wateroo, I was thinking, oh, you want to fight me? Let's meet at the public pool.
Yeah,
we're gonna go fight in the pool. Let's do some Wateroo.
Yeah.
But okay, you totally threw me in a different direction. Mm-hmm. Wateroo. I'm gonna have to look that one up a little bit. And then Shotokan. Shotokan just. I feel like there was a karate that I took when I was very young. I remember I took Goju. Maybe it was the gi that I was wearing that said Shotokan on it. Mm-hmm. That was possible. Mm-hmm. And I'm not familiar with what Shotokan is. Is that another style?
It is another style.
From where?
It's also from Japan.
Japan, okay.
Because it's a derivative from karate.
Okay.
So karate is a very general term.
I saw the Karate Kid.
Yeah.
Daniel-san. I am Daniel.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But you have these different paths that these students took, and to where they developed their own techniques and their own kind of philosophy on what karate is.
Sounds like religion.
Well, martial arts, I think, is really a big discipline builder.
Okay.
And, there's certain rules that you have to follow, kind of like religion.
Sure.
To meet these certain morals, to be fit enough to live the warrior way. Being able to make decisions confidently, and also being able to defend you and your country, because that's ultimately why martial arts was made. To defend yourself, stop these other tribes from coming and taking your food and raping and pillaging your women and that kind of stuff. That people needed to learn how to defend themselves. And you even look back to the earliest martial arts. I think I was watching a Joe Rogan podcast, and they were talking about like the origins of it, and even in Africa, that's where they started. Like the tribes there, they were developing the very first martial arts, like kick to the face, like a front kick. So imagine the ball of your foot, being driven into like somebody's chin or something like that. Just to like I said, just to defend yourself and to your country. So, and obviously the military, that's the martial part of it. It's if you have a defensive group or offensive group, that's your military there. So hand-to-hand combat was pretty much the only thing you could do until they started to develop like spears and swords and shields and armor and that kind of stuff. And so that's where martial arts really started.
So these are all derived from karate, and yes, from the Karate Kid, I learned that karate means empty hand. Mm-hmm. So are all of these styles from Japan empty-handed, or are you learning with weapons of some kind?
Asia is probably the most popular part of the world that is recognized for martial arts, you don't really think of like America
No.
unless you think of like boxing,
Sure.
or kickboxing. But China, Japan, Korea. Well, when you think of Korea, Taekwondo. That's its origin. China, you think of Kung Fu, and Kung Fu is just, like I said, general term like karate. It is, I can't really think of the definition of it now, but it's got something to do with martial art. And Kung Fu, there's different perspectives of it, like there's a style called Tiger style, or like Crane style, or
I spent whole Saturdays in the cinema with Bruce Lee, and he taught me every style. Or
Right.
him and his cohorts taught me every style.
Right.
Because as a kid, I would ride my bikes with my friends to the cinema, and we'd spend all Saturday. That was our video games in the late 70s, I guess, and early 80s.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Bruce Lee, man.
more late 70s.
He is a big influence on martial arts. I think he, for the modern day, made martial arts extremely popular.
We brought it to America, and people, conspiracy theorists, think that's why he was killed, or if he was killed.
Right. I definitely think he has gone way too soon. And people in Hollywood were intimidated by him because he was so different than everything else. Like, nobody was making these martial arts movies that looked so real and had such a raw, authentic feel to it. And the biggest thing that makes it so authentic is because even Bruce Lee said it to himself, like, martial arts is, your self-expression. And he was in one of his interviews, like, he said that you could act like you know what you're doing and act like you have like this, cocky feeling or a certain feeling, but just the motion of the martial arts, like, your body can't lie. I mean, if you can't kick above your head, you're gonna try to kick above your head, just won't be able to do it.
Fall down in your booty.
Fall down on your booty. And you have to put in the effort into training your body into doing these techniques, learning the certain styles. And once I feel like you feel comfortable in your body and you feel more in tune with it, then your mental would be improved as well. And I feel like the more strength you have, the more confidence you can have, in yourself. So that's that. I feel like Bruce Lee, he really pushed that to the limit, in his everyday life. Just in his philosophy is just express yourself authentically, and no style is the style. He started out with Ip Man. That's was his instructor. He did a kung fu style called Wing Chun. And this is like a very hand-heavy, like fast strikes with your hands. And
you're making a motion like a boxer doing the light bag, doing the speed bag, that kind of a thing. And is that what Wing Chun?
That's
and
Wing
making
Chun.
your hands as fast as possible.
There's a really good movie with Donnie Yen.
Okay.
If you haven't seen it, it's called Ip Man. And he's made
Ip
four
Man,
of them.
IP Man.
IP Man, and that is a great rendition of Bruce Lee's instructor. And he started out with Wing Chun, but you might not know, because he's so recognized for his martial arts and his fantastic kicks and lightning fast speed in his punches. Most people don't know that he's actually a cha-cha dancer.
Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee.
Yeah. But born in San Francisco, dancing. If you saw the Dragon story, they touched upon that a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because he was so physically talented, that's why he was so good at cha-cha dancing, and he attributes his martial arts ability to the moves that he learned in the cha-cha. It's just the footwork aspect of it. And to think that to even incorporate a movement that isn't martial arts into his own style just shows you how much of an open mind that he is, not only in his martial arts but also in his everyday life regarding philosophy. So I think we can all learn from that, just to keep an open mind and to, like he says, be like water.
Oh my goodness, you just touched my favorite line, and I'm sure a lot of people's favorite line, Bruce Lee. Be Walter, my friend.
Yes.
Oh, dig it. So yes. Okay, we couldn't talk about martial arts without talking about Bruce Lee. Of course. Joel Fountain, martial arts have become a big part of your life. Maybe in duality, where martial arts is one side of your life, and then the music is the other side of your life. You know, those are like two gigantic facets of you. And then the acting was a little bit in your high school career.
Acting, yeah, I did that too.
You know, that was one of the first things that your mother bragged about, was that you were, well, you could talk about your high school musicals and touch upon that. You already touched on one of them, but the other musical that your mom was so proud, both of them really, but the one, go hit me with the musicals you were in.
I am Batman. Batman.
Ask the people around here, who's your favorite Batman? Some of them may say Joel Fountain.
They may. They just might say it. Wow, I was really shocked. Well, I wouldn't say I was really shocked, but I never thought of myself as like a Batman or like a Superman. I always thought of myself as an anime character like Goku from Dragon Ball Z. Have you ever seen?
The strongest ever. You
Yeah.
know, Goku versus Superman. Who would win?
Right. That's always been a debate. And I that was one of my idols. Even though he was a cartoon character, I wanted to be like him in
So
every.
was Batman, okay?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Batman's not real?
He's not. Well, I think that sometimes a character could be real by the way that we embrace their ideologies or their actions. I think that even after people pass away, like Bruce Lee, we keep him alive through his memory by speaking about him and using the quotes that he said, just like, be like water. So
Well, now you're talking about, does the creation belong to the creator, or does it belong to the fans, to the fandom? You know, because once Star Wars was put out there by George Lucas, then it becomes ours. Does it belong to George Lucas anymore, or Disney now? But it becomes ours.
certainly.
You know, because we become the fandom, and then if George Lucas took it in a direction that we did not like, or we the fans did not like, we would tell him about it, wouldn't we?
Yes.
So does your creation belong to you, or does it belong to the creator, or does it belong to all of us?
I think that there would be no creation without both sides.
Yes.
There has to be an interaction between people that are consuming what you create and also the creator.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it. Whether it be in any kind of art form, whether it be you're painting something, or you're making a song, or creating one of the biggest franchises that there ever is, like Disney and Star Wars, and there always has to be somebody watching, and there's always got to be somebody, putting the pen to the paper, so to speak. So there's no way it can't be a thing without both sides.
So let's take it back. How did you become Batman? In what respect are you Batman, Joel Fountain?
So, like I said, I quit band because I wanted to further my martial arts career, take it a bit more seriously, invest more time into it. So,
At 11 years old?
no,
what year?
at I think ninth grade.
Ninth grade.
I met my choir instructor, Sam Husky, through the musical prior to Batman, because
And what was that one?
it was Footloose.
That was the Footloose one. You were Ren on that one.
I was Ren. So this was the one before Batman. Like I said, never tried out for a musical before. Got the lead role. Then, being in a musical, I wanted to take it seriously, so I joined the choir because I wanted to make sure that my singing ability was, using the right techniques, and also being surrounded with other musicians. That's going to make you improve too. So I met Sam Husky. We got along fairly well. I very respectful in every class that I'm in, and I bring a positive atmosphere to those classes. So he liked me. I liked him. he knew what I was capable of because I just done Footloose, and he
Right.
had been training me on the songs.
So how did you learn how to sing for Footloose?
Well, I've already had talented.
Was there much singing in that one? No, it was a lot of dancing, right?
It was dancing, but in any musical, you have to sing, fairly.
So was Footloose the musical then?
Yes, it was
Okay.
Footloose the musical. So
Okay, so it was redone. And then was Ren singing a lot of his lines?
yes, he was.
What do you mean we can't dance
Yeah.
in this town? What, really? Oh, that was terrible. What was one line that you could sing right now? That would have been a spoken dialogue, but he sang it in the musical.
Oh man, let's see.
And then Keys Dan throws the podcast off the rails, puts him on the spot.
Okay, so there's a song called "Heaven Helps a Man," and we're in the gym and like we're at the school in the setting, and this is in a town where like you can't. It's like illegal to like sing and dance and play rock and roll, and we're all together. We've got our like these gym shorts on and the school t-shirt and these long socks, like typical like 80s like gym outfit.
Yes.
And we're singing Heaven Helps a Man, and Ren, he brings the rock and roll to the town.
Yes.
And in this moment in the musical is the turning point for the whole town to start this movement of like singing and dancing and rock and roll, which was taboo because the community was very anti rock and roll. So
Why?
Well, it was because of the church.
Okay.
The preacher was attributing it to like satanic things and just putting a very negative connotation on rock and roll. And he said it was bad for the community, like it'd make us do like seductive things and drugs and that kind of stuff. But when we're singing Heaven Helps a Man, I'm like, come on everybody, let's all join in. And then of course, everybody joins in, and then they're all doing the choreography behind, and there I am at the very front. I'm just singing my line like, heaven helps the man who fights his fear, or something like that. I forget the lyrics, but
You put chills up my spine, Joel Fountain.
yeah,
Whew, I know that song, man. That's a good one.
yeah,
That's a good one,
Kenny
man.
Loggins,
Yeah, I come
Another
from
classic
the 80s.
rock.
I'm here to help.
and I just, man, felt like a rock star, felt like a front man
For sure.
for the first time, and I was like,
So they're singing and dancing.
singing and dancing.
Getting you ready to be the front man of any band, really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But for the dancing part, wasn't the strongest at
Okay.
all. Was not.
So you didn't have Bruce Lee's cha-cha dancing.
I did
The school of cha-cha dancing by Bruce Lee.
That is something I did not incorporate very strong. I did do the dancing. Obviously, as Footloose is, you have to do some choreography while you're doing the singing.
Oh, yeah.
And I did practice that. I did do it. I wasn't the best. I probably could have done it better. But definitely what carried me through was my singing ability, and then also my charisma as an actor. So that was a big part of it.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Good deal, man. All right. So you get through that, and you're getting accolades. People are just, we love you, Joel.
Okay, so I did Footloose
Yes.
in choir.
Yes.
Next year rolls around.
Wait, how
junior
many
year.
people did you actually do a performance in front of a bunch of people, a whole auditorium? How many performances?
We did 3.
Wow.
I think
How many people in that auditorium?
the auditorium can fill up around 500 people.
Yeah.
So
How do you feel in front of all those people?
energized.
Yes.
I felt awesome. Just knowing that we'd put in the time to actually do the show and to perform it is a great feeling because not only do you get to bring joy to people in your community,
Yes.
but you also develop teamwork.
Yes.
And working with other people like your peers that are the same age as you, going to the same place, same school, and obviously being monitored by the theater guys, Mr. S, Mr. Spiritigliosi, and
Wow.
yeah.
That was a mouthful.
oh yes, it's a big mouthful, and then I forget the
So
other.
those 3 performances, the finished product, How much rehearsal was it to get to those 3 performances?
We had the auditions like the first or second month of school, like September, and
when was the performance at?
the performance was in April. It was actually
So you had
very
all those
close.
times.
Yeah, it was very close to my birthday.
Hey,
Actually,
all right.
Yeah, it was a really great time in my life, and really just inspired me to continue performing, whether it be singing or acting. And after that junior year rolls around, I'm still in choir. I like choir. People around me are musicians. For some reason, I get along with musicians better.
Do you now?
And Mr.
No,
Husky,
like-minded people. Yeah.
exactly. Same humor. Just same kind of vibe, same kind of energy. And Mr. Husky announces that he is going to do a musical. He's going to do a Batman musical. And
he announces this when? In April? Or the next year?
He announces it next year.
This is the next year,
Yeah,
okay.
junior year. And the reason why he had came up with this is he spent a lot of time in his studio apartment in Greenbrier. And around this time, he had actually slipped and fell and hurt his knee.
Oh.
Yeah, so he was having a tough time because he couldn't move around. And, he's feeling kind of like lonely. And, he's feeling kind of isolated because he's got like kids and stuff like that. And he's separated from his wife. So this was kind of like a difficult time for him. So because he is so smart, he used this time and this feeling as a creative outlet. And he started to write the music for Musings from the Batcave. And he'd sing these lyrics and even get to a point where, he's emotional sometimes because it was so apparent to the situation that he was in. And it was really captivating. And
How so? How was it brooding? Was it dark?
It was.
Or was it light humor at all anywhere?
Oh, the musical is filled with all different kinds of emotions.
But he was at a tough time of his life.
He was at a tough time. And Batman, if you know the story, has also had an extremely tough time
Sure.
in his early life. And even, this disconnect between Batman, and Bruce Wayne. And near the end of this, the musical, he actually goes into a song about this disconnect. So, who really is Batman? Is Bruce Wayne the cover-up, or is Batman, the cover-up? Who really is Bruce Wayne, and who really
Right.
is Batman? So,
Which one is the mask?
really,
So
exactly.
did we discover this in the musical during the musings? I apologize. I didn't get to see the play live, but I mean, your mother raved about it. Just said it was the greatest thing ever. She could be biased. It's possible.
Maybe slightly.
It's possible.
Maybe just a little bit. And it's a really dark part of the song because or the musical, because he's internally talking to himself like, what is this that I've become?
Yes.
And like who is that I look in the mirror? Like it's kind of is because he's had this mask, had this character.
He had this dichotomy that he has, is both sides of one coin.
How does he know who's the real person inside? And that's a really awesome part because whenever we started talking about Batman, one of the songs is or parts of it is
Sing it.
sing it. So it's like, this is who I am. Take a stand with no apologies. And then this chorus go dun dun. I am Batman. And then
Ooh.
it's like the really dun dun. And it's just very like slow, like just internal like thinking, and it's very moving.
So who is Batman playing off of? What other characters are in this musings of Batman?
So the first one that interacts with Batman is his butler.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, I can't think of his...
Alfred?
Alfred.
Pennyworth, I guess.
Yes, Alfred. And we have a very kind of quirky relationship because Alfred's raised Batman, raised Bruce Wayne from when his parents passed away from a very young age. So there's a mutual respect for each other, and Alfred knows Bruce Wayne very well. So Bruce Wayne, may give him a reaction whenever Alfred, asks him a question, and Alfred would be like, "Are you sure that's really how you feel?" And just kind of poking fun at him. And then there's also Batwoman, too. She is a woman role that was really strong.
Here in 2019, they're coming up with a Batwoman on Netflix, I believe.
Oh, really?
I mean, Amazon. One of those. I know is being played by Ruby. Ruby Rose. She's playing the Batwoman, and this is. I guess Batman has disappeared from Gotham, and Batwoman shows up. Not Batgirl. So it was Batwoman in the music.
Batwoman.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and
interesting play on that.
Yeah, she is like, Batman, you never let me go by myself to these, crime scenes, and you just think I'm not ready for it, and because Batman is so, hard-headed, he's like, oh, well, Batwoman can't do it without me, I'm the Batman, like, I need to be there at every, altercation, or whether the Joker's doing something like that, and then Batwoman, she goes into the song about, no, I don't need Batman to hold my hand when I'm going and saving Gotham City. I'm a strong woman. Like I can go out and I can do this. And at the end of it, Batman's like, man, I didn't realize like, you could be your own independent, hero. And it was it showed a lot of character development, through, the musical for Batman to kind of like understand the characters like Batwoman or Robin or the Joker and that kind of stuff, or Alfred. So it was really fun. It was really fun to do.
Yeah. So interesting that he chose that character because from what I understand, Batwoman showed up after Batman left, and in fact, her first costume before she had the flowing red hair, and I don't know if she did in the musical or not, but before that, she had a very close covering cape and cowl. So if you saw her very quickly, she looked like Batman, and people were attributing her actions to Batman. So she said, "No, I'm not having this," and she came up with the red flowing wig, so people would know, hey, not Batman, it's Batwoman.
That's right.
And she took the credit for it. But that was interesting that he put that into that play as opposed to Batgirl, who is an extension of Batman, another sidekick.
Like Robin, for example.
Another sidekick.
So Robin is also in Musings from the Batcave. One of my friends, her name's Andrea.
Okay.
She played a boy role in the musical, and she did it very well. She
played the Robin.
Yes, she played Robin.
Because there is a one-time girl Robin that took up the mantle. I can't remember why, but I only recently figured out that there was a girl Robin in the Batman canon. I think she was a young girl, and he was in trouble. But Batman was in trouble, so she had to pick up the Robin outfit and save Batman. And he was mad at her for it, but hey, she saved him.
Yeah.
So but there was a girl